About 3 years back in 2022, when the Karnataka hijab row began, students were told you cannot wear a hijab in college during exams, and this sparked political protests and a huge legal battle over religious freedom versus uniform. At that point of time, what did they say? They said, it is our right to wear the hijab. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, ladies and gentlemen, appealed the decision in the Karnataka High Court. Oh, Mr. Owaisi said, why do you want that my daughters take off their hijab? He was trying to provoke. Muslim men said that it is the right and the duty of Muslim women to wear the hijab. But they did not tell us that it is not the right of a Muslim woman, if she wants, out of her free will, not to wear the hijab. They didn't tell me. They didn't tell you that if a 32-year-old Muslim woman decides one day to go to a mother's home not wearing a hijab, that she can be killed by her husband for it. They didn't even tell me that if two young girls became witness and watched their mother being killed for not wearing the hijab, then they too could be killed. But they also didn't tell me, all these hijab activists, AIMPLB, AIMIM, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra, the political ones, the religious ones, the so-called fake liberal ones. I'm asking tonight, they didn't tell me that they will either be dumb or pretend to have lost their voice. When a triple murder happens on the issue of hijab, yes, you may or may not believe it, ladies and gentlemen, but 115 kilometers away from the national capital of India. And let me tell you, in our country, some people do not want to let you be informed what happened to 32-year-old Tahira. Nobody, and I'm shocked to say, nobody in our media is speaking about what happened to Tahira. Nobody in our media, especially that corporate media, that Lutyens media, they are not using the hashtag justice for Tahira. What is justice for Tahira? Who was Tahira? Tahira was a 32-year-old young woman who got married to this man called Muhammad Farooq 16 years ago, which means she was married at the age of just 16. She has borne that man 5 beautiful children. Last Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, Tahira was killed by her husband in cold blood for not wearing a hijab when she went to her parents' home. Her husband killed her because she had gone out of the house not wearing a hijab. She made the mistake of going to her mother's home without wearing a hijab. She went to her parents' home, a home she grew up with her family, without covering herself from top to bottom or without covering her face. She simply walked out of the home without wearing a hijab. But this man, this insecure, bigoted and perverted husband, got so angry that his Muslim wife dared to go to her mother's house without wearing a hijab, that one day in the middle of the night last Tuesday, he woke her up on the pretense of wanting chai. And this lady, oblivious to her husband's sinister design, stepped out to light the stove in the courtyard. Then Farooq shot her point blank range. Her only fault, she died on the spot, was that she did not wear a hijab. She did not wear a burqa, a headscarf. And then this man killed his 2 daughters, who woke up seeing their mother being attacked, being shot. And he killed the 2 girls too. And all the 3 bodies, he brutalized his own daughters. He was so angry. One of them, her eye was gouged out, which means she was bludgeoned by her father. The bodies were dumped in a 9-foot pit dug outside their house by this man. Nobody is asking what was the fault of Afreen, the 14-year-old daughter of Tahira, whose eyes were gouged out by their own father because she saw her father kill her mother for not wearing a hijab. What was the fault of 7-year-old Sahreen, who woke up to the screams of her mother and sister? Ladies and gentlemen, a life that neither knew the meaning of choice or the consequence of exercising it in her household, and also she lost her life because she saw her father kill her mother for wearing a hijab. There is an eerie similarity, by the way, in the murder of Tahira to that of 25-year-old tennis player Radhika Yadav, who was shot 5 times in her own kitchen by her father for running her own tennis academy, because her father had a Khap Panchayat mindset. The only difference is that in Radhika's case, a certain lobby spoke. The Muslim leaders also spoke. But in this case, in Tahira's case, ladies and gentlemen, they're all quiet. They're not speaking for Tahira. The media is not speaking for Tahira. And the media is not speaking a word about Tahira. You have the bodies of a mother and her 2 children being pulled out, killed by this man because this 32-year-old lady did not wear the hijab. And the reason I'm telling you about this today is because this is the kind of news report that you will see put in page number 5 and 2 lines of some rotten newspaper tomorrow morning. And no media network will talk about justice for Tahira. No media network has the guts to talk loudly about the hijab triple murder. And that is because all these people want to be politically correct. Nobody is talking about this. Not AIMPLB, not Owaisi, not Madani, not Amir Khan, not Shabana Azmi, and in their silence is their complicity, ladies and gentlemen. Because in our country, we have an instance where a man says, my wife is property to do as I please, to use, disabuse, to divorce, and to kill at will. In any other country, this case of the hijab triple murder would be the #1 talking point, and you would have said, there is something wrong going on out here. My question is very simple. Where is the hijab lobby today? Where is the pro-hijab lobby today? Where are they? Asaduddin Owaisi is hiding tonight because he's too weak to talk about it. We tried to contact Asaduddin Owaisi of the All India Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin. He refused to speak about it because he is weak. Because for him it's very easy to stand by hardline Muslim men who want to triple talaq their wife. But it's impossible for Owaisi to stand for a Muslim woman who was killed for not wearing the hijab. Where is Priyanka Vadra? She is weak. She wants the Muslim vote. She wants the hardline Muslim vote. In 2022, the self-proclaimed leader of the Ladki Hoon Lad Sakti Hoon brigade said whether it's a bikini, ghungat, a pair of jeans or a hijab, it is a woman's right to decide what she wants to wear. This right is guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. Stop harassing women. Priyanka Vadra, today you have sealed your lips because you think the left remaining hardline Muslim vote will not go with you if you speak up for justice for Tahira. Because AIMPLB will not like you. And your brother Rahul Gandhi is also weak. Rahul Gandhi was first in line to meet the victims in Hathras or Manipur. He will not take a 2-hour drive to where this happened. 115 kilometers away from Delhi, meet Tahira's family and say that this mindset that you can be killed for not wearing a hijab is not acceptable. Owaisi, Rahul, speak up. Today he also won't speak. Akhilesh is weak. Tejasvi is weak. None of them will speak about this and upset hardline Muslims. Only we here at Republic. Because in our country, nobody is asking the right questions anymore. Only we here at Republic have the courage to ask the question no other network in this country has the moral courage to ask. And I'm calling tonight not just for anger about the hijab triple murder. I'm calling for justice for Tahira. I'm calling for real justice. I'm calling for this country to be a really secular country, not to be a fake secular country. This should be the #1 talking point for the government, the BJP, the opposition, the people of the country, that in our country we say we'll be Viksit Bharat. We cannot be Viksit Bharat like this. If we are all going to put a zip on our lips when a 32-year-old woman is killed along with her 2 children for not wearing a hijab, we don't want to talk about it because we want to play safe. Well, politicians and netas play safe. Republic does not. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, this must be a campaign, justice for Tahira. We can make a change if we come together. Justice for Tahira.